If you're clinically insane and for some reason decide to buy a British top tier premium, you have a few options. You could buy the Khalid or Roycat, which have a horrible matchmaker. The Challenger 2 OES at 11.3 that's just plainly not fun. Or this, the Challenger DS, a great tank that offers a level of versatility not found in any other British premium. I'll start with the armor, since that's what really defines the Challenger, specifically the turret cheeks. They're made of several layers of composite armor, which adds up to about 450 to 500mm of effective kinetic protection. Most common rounds at a tier like the 2A4's DM23 can't get through you most of the time, but they aren't impenetrable. Most notably 3BM60 from the Sprute SDM or M900 from the Striker can easily clap your cheeks. The upper part of the hull is also composite with about 350mm of kinetic protection, but the worst part is the lower plate. It's only 70mm thick. Even the 2S38, which you'll fight annoyingly often, can penetrate it very easily. It goes without saying that you need to try and hide your hull as much as you can, as you really can't take a hit there without major damage. Playing hull down is something that this vehicle excels at, and that's the general theme with the Challenger. Survivability wise, you're very likely to survive depending on where you get hit. A penetrating shot through the turret may take out at most 2 crew members, but a shot to the hull is probably when you'll go back to the hangar, as all ammo charges are stored there, right behind and next to the driver, making playing hull down even more important. One annoying thing about the Chally are the turret drives and breach. They're massive, bigger than most tanks. It's nearly impossible to not lose your turret ring or vertical drive if you get penetrated. But all the armor doesn't come without a cost, specifically the mobility, which is best described as sluggish. The max speed you can reach is 56 km an hour, in perfect conditions that is. In reality, you'll be doing around the mid-40s range while off-roading. Acceleration is even more lethargic, moving from a standstill feels incredibly slow. Getting up to speed is a chore, and losing half of it after you make a slight turn gets quite annoying. Speaking of which, you have neutral steering, but it still suffers from the same problem as accelerating. It's horribly slow. It takes what feels like the entire match to turn around and change direction. This is not the vehicle to try and rush an early game position with. It's just way too slow to try and do that safely. But it is adequate enough to reach a decent hull down location on most maps. Not all is bad though. You do get quite a nifty reverse gear which tops out at just under 40 km an hour, allowing you to disengage very quickly if you need to. Paired with 5 deployments of smoke grenades, you can very easily escape a bad situation. The main armament is a stabilized 120mm cannon. The best part about the firepower of the Chally is the reload speed. You have a blazing 5-second reload on an ace crew, which nothing you can fight will outpace it except the Type 90 in a full up tier. But that reload speed is only for the ready rack. After the first 4 shots, your reload speed will drop to a plebeian 6 to 7 seconds. Gun handling is pretty snappy and responsive. At 30 degrees per second, there is really nothing to complain about. The elevation ranges from -10 to +20 degrees, which makes playing it, you guessed it, hull down pretty easy. As for the shells you have, there is 4 at your disposal. The first of which is the L23 Sabo round. It's quite a decent shell, but definitely not the best. At 410mm of flat penetration, you really won't struggle with almost anything. The most challenging target would probably be the 2A4, as most of the time a shot to the hull isn't enough to one-shot it, but you can just follow it up with another shot very quickly. The other Sabo round you have is the L23A1. You'd ideally prefer to use this shell over the regular L23, as it trades off a tiny bit of flat penetration for improved angle performance. But in practice I've found that the 2 shells perform nearly identically, so I decided to minimize the processing power my brain needed to use to pick between the 2 shells. There is also a squash head shell, which is incredibly situational, and equally random when it comes to damage. I've only really got use of it like once. And a smoke shell, in case you want to try some risky move you really should be trying in a challenge. So how do you play the tank, combat, 120mm gun, Challenger Mark III, Desert Storm? Well, I think you'd have realized by this point that hull down sniping is what this vehicle does best. You're actively putting yourself at a disadvantage by exposing your hull, as anyone with at least a quarter of a functioning brain would know to shoot your hull in order to dispose of you quickly. But that doesn't mean you can't make the Challenger work in other situations. It's quite a versatile tank, just not quite as much as other tanks like the Abrams, Leopard 2A4, T-72B and probably others. No, not you, Ariete. Now is the time for me to tell you to not buy this tank. Except that you might actually want to. The Challenger DS has quickly risen to be one of my highest kill vehicles, and one of my favorites. It really is a great vehicle, and the best premium available for the UK. Not sure why you'd want to grind the British tree in the first place. Maybe you're insane, or British. Actually, isn't that the same thing? But I'm not here to judge your tree choice. I'm here to tell you if this specific vehicle is worth it, and well, It damn is. And if you already bought a Challenger DS, well, congratulations, you got yourself a very nice premium vehicle.